Okay, Tony.
Okay, hello and welcome to another Common Sense SEO show. I think this is show number 6, so I hope it is anyway. Before we get started, I'm going to pass you straight over to Henrik just to make sure that you can hear us and you know all the housekeeping rules. Henrik, over to you.
Thank you, Tony. I just want to see if you can see us and hear us. So if you can drop a 1 in the chat box if you can see us, and a 2 if you can hear us. Loud and clear, and say it out there. Thank you very much. So today we will just ask you if you will have any warnings of other good shows that's coming up. Then please subscribe to our channel, and you're always welcome to put comments into the comment section if you have any questions during this show or something that you want to want us to bring up in the future. So over to Tony. Thank you.
Yeah. Right, hello again, and yep, like I say, welcome. I'm really excited today because we've got a great guest lined up, and he's waiting in the wings as we speak. Now, first off, I want to know. Well, no, I better explain who he is first. We have Carl Roof of Page Optimizer Pro fame, waiting to show you around the software. This tool is just a tool that really, if you're building sites for clients or for yourself for any affiliate action, anything, this is one of the absolute tools that you really should have in your arsenal. And it's actually extremely affordable, but we don't really need to go into that just at this moment. The thing is this tool is just, it gives you the definite advantage. I can't say too much about the tool because I'll probably preempt what Carl's going to go on and say, but just every time I listen to Carl, I'm blown away. This guy really, when I first heard or watched his videos, it just really upped my game, I must admit. You know, I've been in SEO for long enough, but just listening to the stuff that Kyle and people like him come out with about the science of SEO, etc., it just really resonated with me, and it really upped my game. Honestly, I felt like I'd grown up after I sort of got used, after I got to know about tools like Page Optimizer and Core and the like. So I'm just really chuffed to have Carl here today. And before I pass over to him, I do want to ask if anybody's out there in the audience, what Carl's going to do today is going to do a demonstration where he's going to show you how to build up a page optimizer report on even if you don't have a web page. So if you're just doing research, which I know this theoretically is a stage we're at in the show, he's going to show you how to do that. So if anybody's got any suggestions, if anybody wants Carl to actually work on their keywords just to prove he is live with us here today, then drop it in now, and Henrik will quickly pick it up and pass it over. And while Henrik's waiting for you to make your suggestions, I'm going to welcome Carl to the show. And, thank you very much. Please take it away, Carl.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate you having me on. I appreciate being here. I like the idea of common sense SEO. I think that works perfectly with the type of SEO that I do. As we were discussing before the show, I had always assumed that people tested stuff, that when they were just trying to figure out how to do SEO, that they would run test sites or they would try things out. And it turns out that people don't do that. That to me is the most common sense thing to do. Before getting a client and trying it out on a client site, maybe just give it a run first would be a good step one, but a lot of people skip that, go right into a clients and start doing things, and then they wonder, I guess, why things don't work or when things go poorly. Or the other thing too is we find that people can't troubleshoot. If you've never done it yourself, it's very difficult to troubleshoot when things go wrong. And so I'm very happy with the approach of this show and very happy to be here.
Thank you.
Okay, Kyle.
Oh, you've got some of you, Henrik.
Yeah, I got one suggestion, family law.
Family law.
Yeah.
Did you guys know I'm a lawyer? And did you know that I practice family law? Do you know what family law is? It's where you do divorce, custody, and support type issues.
And it's highly competitive.
Yeah, there's usually divorce is often handled in a higher court, but then If you're not married, or if things have already kind of progressed a little bit farther, you often handle things in the juvenile domestic relations court. So it's got its own special little spot.
Okay, and do they have a geo? Do you need a geo? I presume you do, don't you? Do they have a location where they want the family law search to be based on around?
No. But Steve, if you could put a location you would like to check, then please type it into the chat box.
And just quickly, while I'm always doing this, I'm terrible for it, but just quickly, while we're giving him time to think about a location, and I don't even know whether it's necessary, but let's go with it anyway. I forgot to say in the introduction, if you like today's show, and this is if I forget to say it at the end, if you get I'm sure you will, and I'm sure you get a hell of a lot of value out of it. You can see Kyle every Wednesday on his own show with Ted Kubatis and Clint Butler, and it's called SEO Fight Club. So after you've finished with us, and after you've liked us and subscribed to us and all the rest of it, just go into the search at the top and type in SEO Fight Club, and you will get some golden nuggets dropped out of almost every sentence. So I'm going to go back to Henrik for the location, and then on to Kyle for the magic.
He suggests Kansas City's MO.
Kansas City, you got it. Okay. I guess I can go ahead and share my screen then.
It will be practical.
The best way to do it, eh? All right. Let me know when you can see my screen.
We can see now. Yep.
Okay. So what I've done is I've done this search, right? So family law, Kansas City, MO, so Missouri, and I did it in quotes. Now, the very first thing to tackle here is what kind of page can you build? So I think it was Steve or Steven, this is his thing. Is he a law firm? I assume so, that he is a law practice that's trying to win this and isn't building a directory site. That's important because when you look at the results that come up, the first two, Super Lawyers and Justia, those are directory sites. And the number 3, this Fisher Law KC, that's an actual site. And the reason that I bring that up is that the premise of the SEO that I do and that I've then built into POP is that the secret to rank is hiding in plain sight. Google is showing you the sites that it likes, the sites that it's rewarding for a particular keyword. And the idea is that Google either likes a site because of its on page, because of its off page, or because of a combination of the two. The idea with POP is that it's an on-page tool, so we want to find those sites that Google's rewarding because of their on-page. And on top of that, you want to pull out sites that you can emulate, a page that you can build. It's unlikely that you're going to build a superlawyers.com, although that might be you, or you might be building some form of directory, and then you'd want to focus in on a directory site. But otherwise, you really want to pull out sites that are similar to what you can do. And here, I'm going to guess that we're talking about a regular practice. So the number 3 result is Fisher Law KC. Then we do Fine Law, that's a directory, and then this M Wortman Law, KCFamily.net. So actually a lot of local firms are showing on the first page. That's a great sign, because often in the law space you'll find that maybe only 1 or 2 spots are available on page 1, and so you want to do some client expectation setting from the beginning when you get into law that if it's all directories in one law firm, there might be only 1 available spot on page 1. So choose the keywords you're going after wisely and realize that you're going to be in a pretty big slog. One other thing to note, and this is just because I practice law, family law is a term that most people don't know. You would know the term family law once you've been in the system. Like once you've started a divorce, then you realize you're at a family law lawyer. So somebody that knows the term family law is probably later on in the funnel. So that also might dictate what type of page I'm doing or what type of approach I'm going after. Knowing that this person has probably already spoken to some other attorneys, you might want to write a page to somebody like, hey, are you unhappy with your attorney? Versus, the beginning of like just explaining what a divorce or how a divorce starts or what a custody case is, etc. I did the quote, the search in quotes, and the reason that I did that, and you often need this for, especially for local, because again, we're trying to pull out sites that are like ours. And if you are in a law type niche, you can find that there really aren't a lot of sites like you. If you did the search in quotes, what that's going to do is that's going to get rid of a lot of the external factors that Google will pull back, because now we're looking for sites that are most relevant to this particular phrase, that have this phrase on the page. That can give us some insight as to the sites that are doing it the best. And you can see that this Kansas City molawservice.com comes up actually with 3 results. Yeah, so when I'm deciding on which ones to pull in, I think I've got a bunch of good options here from the regular search, and then I would probably grab that one from the quote search there. I use this little bookmarklet called Simple Google Results. I don't even know if it exists anymore, but I think you can find something similar. But what it does is it actually pulls out all of the extra stuff that are in the results and just gives you the links so you can grab them easily, which makes things nicer putting things in the pop. Switching over to Pop, this is what the interface looks like. So we're at the point where I've logged in and I'm at the add a project phase, and these are my current projects that I've got. And if you have a lot, you can search for them on the left-hand side. But you just want to click to add a project. Now, I think in this scenario, the idea is that we have a brand new site, or maybe we don't have a site yet. That's totally fine. So we can just name whatever we want to call it, new site, new project, or project, and then something identifier. You do need to put in a domain, but if you don't have a domain yet, that's totally fine. I'm just going to put in my agency domain. You can use multiple domains for multiple projects. That doesn't really matter in Pop. Typically speaking, you do have a page, so that's why you would put that in on the site that you want to run. And we'll click Add the Project. Now we need to add a page. Now, as we've discussed, we don't have this page yet, so I'm going to call it my family law page. And then in the next section, oh, by the way, I'd like to point out, this is what you need to do to build the page. This blue text at the top of the page. As you complete the steps, these disappear. Once you've got a point that you're have enough info into the tool to run it, it'll tell you can run the page. But in this situation, so we would put in what page we're trying to run, and here we don't have yet. I haven't built this page yet. I'm going to click that box. And then what's going to happen is the interface that we see is going to change a little bit and just give us the information that we need to build a page from scratch. Our target language is English. And then we're going to choose our location, which is in the US. I'm going to fetch our variations. Variations are terms that are critically relevant to your keyword. Ted Kubitis identified this a couple of years ago. These are the bolded terms in Google search results. Google has a mechanism where it says, hey, look how relevant these results are. Look how good we're doing for you. Check it out. And in the description, there are going to be bolded terms. And it helps, I think, give confidence to the person in Google that they are getting the best possible results. In doing testing, when that turns out they're actually ranking factors. So these aren't necessarily terms that you want to rank for, but they support your target phrase. So family law is what we're going after. And I guess it was family law Kansas City, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We can redo that. Refetch, just in case anything changes. So these aren't necessarily terms that you want to rank for on their own. These are supporting that target phrase exactly. So you can see in the variation. So attorney comes up. A brand name too. We can remove that one. Another brand name. But then different kind of ways of saying family law. So family on its own, law, its own, lawyer, family attorney, those types of things. Those are not necessarily terms that you want to rank for, but they support your target phrase. The next thing we want to do then is put in our competitors. And so even though we don't have our page yet, we can still put in our competitors to get what we're trying to, the the data of what Google is rewarding for this particular keyword. And let me see real quick. So the first one here is this Fisher Law. What I also like about this little tool is that you can kind of edit within and remove things. All right, so I'm going to go down to this Kansas City divorce law firm through Fisher Law. I'm going to put those into the tool. And then I'm going to grab this Kansas City and
while you're just doing that, can I just ask, if somebody was trying to do this as a lead gen exercise, what's the implications there? Because these are licensed practitioners, aren't they? Is there anything stopping somebody doing a lead gen site around this because of the licensing or not?
No, you can still do it. Where you run into problems in law is getting fees. Lawyers can't split fees with non-lawyers.
Right.
So it can't. I don't think it can be based on the fee. But I still think you can do lead gen.
Right.
Something else that I would point out as I'm seeing this, all of these are home pages, which is really interesting. There's only one internal page, and that comes from the search that we did in quotes. That's super interesting. So when you're building out a page, then it looks like you really want to focus in on the home page because that's what Google is reporting. Again, that's a lot of things that people don't look at. They build a page or they build a site, and then they start looking. They should do. But when you're coming at it from a common sense approach, look and see what Google is rewarding first. So in this situation, I would really focus on doing a home page that's family law based. Let's say you can't do that, then I would look at doing a subdomain next before doing a subfolder. Next up here is we're going to validate our competitor URLs, and what the tool is doing is going out and making sure that those pages are good. Some pages aren't good. Even though they show up in SERPs, they're still 404s. The other thing that we run into is that sometimes they're blocking bots and they're difficult to crawl. So we have some ways around that, but that's what the tool does there when it's validating. Once that's good, we're going to choose some focus competitors. The idea here is that we've got our entire pool of competitors in, but there might be some that are doing it a little bit better. We want some comparison data. So in this situation, because I'm still brand new to this, I'm not sure, I'm just going to pick the first 3 that were in SERP to my focus competitors. So you always want to pull out some focus, some comparison data. And then from there, we're good to go, and we'll submit our analysis, and it's running. It can take up to 3 minutes. That's what's going on now, and the tool tells you what it's currently running. Right now, it's currently running the target URL. So while that's going, the other thing that I'll mention is that for our target phrase, our exact phrase, we put in family law, Kansas City, MO. It's very unlikely that on the exact match side, there's going to be too many of that, if any at all. Most of the work is going to be on the variation side. When I'm in a local niche like this, where I've got the phrase, that has the geo modifier, I'm going to run the tool 2 ways. I'm going to run it like I have with the geo modifier, and then I'm going to take my same set of competitors that I like, and I'm going to run it without the geo modifier, just to make sure that I'm not missing that exact phrase. In this case, family law. So I would run the tool twice, and then I would make sure that I've got on the exact match side that I hit my family law as many times as I should. There's a little local pro tip for you.
Thank you. Kyle, can you, if you are focusing on GMBs, that this is the exact same process you will do when you're popping a post for GMB? That's
right, and you could also do this too for like if you're doing like guest posting or link building and you want to put something out, you do the same process. The only difference is that one thing that the tool has, and I can show it in just a minute, is that you can actually put in content directly into POP. It's a feature that we don't really advertise yet because it's still in very beta. But if you put content in HTML tags, you can actually put it directly into POP. And for the GMBs, you can just put that into paragraph text and run it that way. So you could actually put your GMB content directly into POP and actually get advice. Cool. This, of course, is taking its sweet time. That's the fun part about doing a live show. You can guarantee that it'll break.
I think there's something about webinar software that seems to just slow down browser sessions, isn't there? It always seems to go crazy during a live show.
I think that's 100% right.
Nothing comes easy.
Yeah.
Is there any questions while we're waiting for that to?
I'm just looking through to see if there's any questions out there.
Uh-oh.
Not yet.
Uh-oh. Of course, I ran into an error. Let me grab this real quick again.
And while there's silence, I will make a shameless plug, because if you do want to try out Page Optimizer after you've seen this demonstration, which I really hope you will, because I really do think it definitely, well, it does up your game as far as SEO is concerned. Well, it up mine, should I say. Then there is a little video somewhere on the Common Sense SEO channel there, which is a little run through of how to take the coupon code that we have there, apply it to a trial, and just get some free credits to take it for a run out. You do now have to sign up for the basic plan, which is very, very cheap anyway, but it's got a free introductory period. So but basically you go through that and you get the extra credits, you run it for a test, you take it for a test drive, and it's not actually costing you anything at this stage. So yeah, take a look at that video afterwards. We'll drop a link to it, but I'm sure it should be fairly obvious on the channel site anyway.
I'm fearful that
that was the advertising break.
It's going on the back end right now. Maybe we're good now.
It's moving.
Hey, we're good now. That's actually one of the more funny when you decide to build a SaaS tool. Things you don't realize are the psychological impact that these things have on people, and creating a process bar and showing people like what site was actually all the time. Really, the psychological stress went down big time when people were like, "Is the tool doing anything?" You're like, "Well, sure. How do I know?" Okay, well, we'll put this in then.
Yeah, unless you're installing a Microsoft product, and of course you get to 120% complete.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. She's almost done now. The other thing we had to do, so they're color-coded things on to increase or decrease. Red often connotates more bad than, say, a yellow or orange. But in the tool, it really that's not how it works. And then, in fact, when you are working, you want to do your increases before you do your decreases. And we had to switch the colors because people's minds were melting over leaving something that was red undone.
Yeah, I can get that. Yeah.
Right at the very end. There we go. Okay, so this is just a front signal or a front card, and it just kind of gives some basic things on a number of things that would need to be, or a number of signals that need to be optimized. But we'll click to view, and this takes us in. Up at the top, we've got our recommendations, and that's how many times you use your exact keyword, how many times you use your variations, your LSI terms, and word count. LSI is a brand new feature that we just launched less than 7 days ago. We'll talk about what all these things mean. First thing I want to jump over to is word count. So approximately just under 1,000 words, 987 words is what you're looking at. That's what then I would build. I'd probably try to be just slightly higher than that. But when you're telling your content writer or you're sitting down to do this page, you need about 1,000 words. That's not too arduous. That's not a huge number. So that's great. And that makes sense too because we're going up against home pages. Again, building the type of page that Google is expecting to see, that Google is rewarding. You're going to build a home page. There's usually not a crazy amount of content on it. For exact keywords, so this is a very long tail phrase, family law, Kansas City, Missouri. And as I said before, I would run this again with these same competitors and take out the geo modifier, Kansas City, Missouri, and just do family law, just to make sure that I hit the term family law enough times. You can see that nobody is actually using that phrase exactly on the page. So that tells me that's not necessarily what you want to optimize for. That phrase exactly as it is. There are these bars here, expand focus recommendations, expand max recommendations. So focus recommendations, this is pulling out what the focus competitors have done. And again, they aren't using it at all. Max shows them the max number. When you think about optimization strategies, a conservative approach would be going with the lesser between the regular recommendations and the focus recommendations. The lesser number would be a conservative approach. A more aggressive approach would be going with the higher number of those two. The max recommendations, that's where you need to rank yesterday. You don't really care what happens, and you're looking for, or you're just completely stuck, you're just looking for what can we do. Then the max gives you what the top number is and would give you something that you can go after. On the variations side, you can see there's a lot more work to be done. All of these are variations. So those are the terms, so law, family, attorneys, Kansas, Kansas City, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're sitting up here. The tool tells us exactly how many times to use them in the different places. We've got our meta title or H1 or H2s. It gives a target min, a target max, and then what we should go after with the recommendation. Now we've got this part up at the top with some numbers. The decimal that you see, so we have law on 0.74, that's a weight or importance. So that's how important that term is, and the closer to 1, the more important something is. And so something that's a 0.74 is a very important term. The C number is our current, how many times you're currently using it, and this is brand new copy, so the current is going to be a 0, and the A is the competitor average, how many times the competitors are using it. With this toggle that we have at the top, you can sort between the importance, so the terms that are most important, alphabetic if you're writing and can help you find something, and then deficit, the ones that you're missing the most. This can be very useful. A lot of people ask, okay, well, I understand that we've got these variations, but which one should I use? I understand that I need to use it 2 times in a particular signal, but which one should I go for? Now we give that information. We're showing you which ones appear to impact rank the most, that are most important to the copy. So we've got your exact phrase, and that's how many times you should use that phrase exactly. Then we have variations on that. Both those are ranking factors. The next part is LSI. And as I said, this is a brand new feature. Again, we've got the same sort of thing where we give a weight or an importance. The current amount of times that it's being used on your page, and then the competitor average. As a comparison, in the variations we had, family law, attorney. In the LSI section, we get words like divorce, child, legal, case, firm, custody, client. Those are fantastic terms. And then again, we show you how many times to use it, which ones are the most important, and then in the signals areas, where to use them. So you can put together the right type of copy. What we've done with our LSI tool is that we actually combine LSI, NLP, natural language processing, and TF, IDF, term frequency, inverse document frequency. And we actually run through a multi-filtering process where these are the terms that there's relative agreement between those different approaches. After doing a lot of study with a lot of different tools that do this, I found that they're basically about the same. They come at it from different approaches, but in the end, they end up with pretty much the same result. And so we then kind of do a filtering process to find kind of the cream of the crop is what we're shooting for, the best terms to pull out. And then we sort them, we run them through an additional weighting process to find the ones, or identify the ones that are the absolute most important. The other thing that you can see here is there's this add to checklist. We have a checklist feature where you can then add these things to the checklist to work on them. So you would just add whichever one you want from whichever section. So if we're, whatever it might be, just kind of grabbing. And you can choose between the regular recommendation, the focus recommendation, or the max recommendation. And then we head over to our checklist. There they sit. So we've got our exact keyword, our variations, our LSI, and we have them all on one page. So this is helpful if then once you get to work. So you've got all that data over on the recommendation side of things and what to do. And now you can put it into a checklist so you can work in one spot and you can mark them complete. This is also helpful too. Oftentimes you won't remember what you did or why. So if you put it into the checklist, you can put in when you did something, what it was, what you changed it to, why you changed it, and the tool will then keep a record of all that for you and keep a running history of what you did and why you did it and when you did it. So you can track things over time. So it's often good to do your optimizations if you're dealing with an existing page, to do them in batches, especially if you're ranking well. You want to do a couple things at a time. And this can kind of help you track when you've done those couple things, what you changed, and why you did it, so that if, say, something goes wrong, you can change things back. You know exactly what to do. The last little tab here, page structure suggestions. This is really good if you're building a page from scratch. This isn't looking at optimization. This is looking at the existence of these tags. So it answers questions like, how many images should I have on this page, or any? Should I have a video? How many contact forms? How many H2s? So it's not looking at putting keywords or variations or LSI into those things. It's looking at just how many should exist. I found that if you follow this, you will set up a great page. You'll outline a really good page. Because keep in mind that we're trying to show Google something that it likes, but people have already done these searches before and they're familiar with these pages look like. Let's give them a page that they also want to see. It's going to help with your conversion. It's going to help with the copywriting that you're doing. So you can come here into page structure suggestions and figure out what the page should look like. What should the structure of this page be? And then you can start to fill in with those different signals. And of course, you can also add this to the checklist. So if you're outsourcing this to your writer, you want to use this for yourself, you can kind of put in this checklist and this is what I want. And then if you need to tell them specific things, you can actually put that into the notes as well. So those are the basis. There's also a summary page where you can download your report, which is the Excel file with all the recommendations. You can download your checklist and different versions of it and kind of keep track of all the stuff that you got, your variations, your keyword, et cetera, which competitors you use, your focus competitors.
I think one of the important things that you've mentioned before, I think I've heard you, not today though, is that, okay, so this is the first one to give you the ideas of how to build the page in the first place. So I'm presume that once you've got the page built, you would then probably run another one. But then I think the general thinking is that you then leave it to settle before you don't go mad and run them every day, do you?
That's right. That'll drive you insane. If you were to do that, it's like checking your rankings every day. Like, don't.
Well, don't you do that?
You gotta break that habit because you go.
Yeah, ego-based SEO.
One thing that we have also, so in the top, we've got the most important thing. And the thing to keep in mind is that the reason that these signals are in here, why we check these are things that I've tested. So in the last 3 years, I've done over 250 single variable tests on Google's algorithm, most of which have been published and peer-reviewed. The signals in here move the needle. And they're in an order that's pretty close to strength. Not perfectly, but pretty close, just so it makes sense. But it's pretty close to the signal strength. And that's kind of from top to bottom on here. Then we've got this new section called display weak signals. So weaker signals, these are ones that either correlate strongly with rank, but they're hard to pin down and prove, or we've actually seen some very slight movement in single variables. So they're things that aren't quite as impactful, but they're part of the game. The other thing, and Ted might talk about this next week with you guys, is that one of the emerging factors is diversity of factors. Pages that have more boxes ticked as to how many signals that they are covering rank better. So we've got this here so that you can then do that. So you can start to tweak those kind of weaker things, but actually then tick more boxes for all the signals that you're covering. So we have things such as your H5s and H6s, meta keywords, meta description, open graph, Twitter, etc. Now, here's something really fun that I found on the variations side. If you run into a situation where you've got some competitors that really they aren't using it, they're zeros or very low numbers, on the variation side, that's a real edge opportunity. You can then use or put stuff into those areas where your competitors really aren't using them, especially with the variations, and that's a good opportunity for an edge. If you aren't sure what these things are, there's a little definition on the little tooltip hover that explains what that thing is and what the HTML tag looks like. The point was when you're doing that rerun, I would do the big stuff first, the big movers, and then as I reran the page, then I would go back through and start getting all the weaker stuff going.
Yeah, and what do you just is this again down to common sense that you tweak so many things until you think, well, that is enough for this time?
That's right. I my little batches. So again, it takes a little planning, and if you do a little planning, okay, we're going to knock out these first. We're going to see how the page responds, and then we're going to go after this set, and then this set, and kind of take it from top to bottom of the tool, and then start with exact and go to your variations and then your LSI.
That's good. Henrik, is anybody sort of dropping any questions in there yet?
No, not yet.
That's a bit.
But let's see.
Come on, guys, ask now. He's here live. Don't let him go without questions.
Yeah, I'm recording and nobody's watching this.
Well, probably, yeah. Yeah, it'd be nice if we got one live question. There's plenty of people before that were saying, "Yeah, we're about to go on. We're about to be there." But never mind. That's their loss if there's no questions. Henrik, have you got any questions?
No, the most curious thing I had was actually in relation to the GMBs, how to use Page Optimizer Pro, because in the group, in the GMB poster group, there has been a lot of questions. How do you do that? And I thought, why don't we have the master on himself and ask him the question? And he has just shown you how to do it. So this should give you a lot of ideas when you're doing your GMB posting.
And I just clicked on run a new page so I can show this. There's this, if the tool isn't reading your page correctly or isn't picking up changes you're making, check this box and copy and paste your source code in. So what we actually found is the reason that this was first done is that people's hosting actual cache pages. So the tool, every time the tool runs, it does a fresh run. It doesn't cache anything on its own, but web hosting and CDNs do cache, and so we found that sometimes people make changes and then they couldn't get their changes run because of their hosting. So you can copy and paste your source code, but you can also just put in text into here that's wrapped in HTML. So you could actually put in a page and put your tags and everything. But if it's just a GMB, all you need to do is put it into paragraph tags, so P and then /P, and put everything in there, and then everything's going to go into the all your counts will just be in the paragraph text, but it's going to then give you numbers on your variations, your LSI, and your exact within that paragraph text, and you could run your GMB stuff that way to get recommendations on what you need to do.
Yeah, I guess there's quite a few things that you'd probably ignore on the results because, of course, a GMB post is limited to, isn't it, 1,500 characters?
Right.
Yeah.
And the tags and stuff, you're not going to be doing your H4s on those.
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah.
in general, if you write up a longer article and you split that up into small chunks, then you run the article towards whatever you want to compare with, and then take one or two paragraphs and put that into your post. And by that, you actually take the next one and silo that up in the GMB.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense, because that's one of the ways that when I write a silo series for a a silo series for a GMB, then I do tend to write it, from start to finish, and I'll probably cover five posts, and it is very much like one long article, isn't it? Broken down into 5 heading 2s, and each of those heading 2s are then broken out into a post, which points daisy chained all the way back up to the first post. Yeah, exactly. If that makes sense. But that's exactly how I do it. I always take a common thought all the way through and write it as if I was writing one continuous article. So it would be very powerful for that, definitely.
So questions. The first one, in regards to local search, how do you handle the sites like Yelp and Home Advisor? And I think you already touched on that, Kyle.
I leave them out typically because that's not the kind of page that I can build. So I'm really looking for a one-to-one comparison. Now you might get to the point where you've already done this analysis and you're still not getting movement. Then I would put them in, but then I would section out them as focus competitors so I could see how their data is impacting the group data. So that you can kind of then make a decision on which way to go. So what's really nice about the focus competitors is that you can pull out. So you got to that whole group, and let's say you want to throw your Yelps in or your Find Laws or whatever, you can then remove that data or see that data separately so you can see how it's impacting the entire group. That's also something you can do with that as well, is if you've got one of those local searches that are also pulling in national things. So you are a local company and you want to do local, but some national companies do show up in those searches. You can then use the focus to pull out just the national or just the local so you can see that comparison data as well.
Okay, great. Next question. Do you have a light version, as I'm not an agency? That's one gift box that asked that.
I'm sorry, is there what version? I'm sorry?
A light version of the POP, the Page Optimizer Pro.
Well, they're all light versions, aren't they? Really? to be fair, I don't think I think the unlimited everything, all bells and whistles is $39 a month. That's unlimited, and it goes down from that point. So it starts at the price of a cup of coffee.
Yeah, we do have a $10 package where you get 5 runs, and then you can buy additional runs at $2 a run for people that just need a little bit. What I strongly encourage people to do though is get a package at the beginning. You might be at the point where you don't need on-page SEO every month. Just buy it when you need it. If you buy the credits, they don't expire. Credits don't roll over. So if you're on a monthly package that was 20 credits and you don't use all 20, you're not going to get rollover credits. But if you cancel, you don't lose those credits, and if you buy additional credits, you don't lose those credits. So buy what you need, use it when you need it, and then pick it back up again. So,
am I right in thinking that all those levels, though, they're all the same features, aren't they? Are they?
Yeah. We don't hold anything back in terms of being able to use this or that. In the future, we're going to have like an agency type package for agency users that need different reporting type things, but that's kind of down the road.
And no, so that's good. So $10 is the starting point, and that comes with there's a 7-day free trial on that.
Right.
Yeah, and of course we've got the coupon code on the video there, which will give you several more credits as well. Yeah, so you can't really go wrong. And then if, like Carl says, if you I'm not so suggesting you do this, of course, but if you cancel within the 7 days, your credits from the bonus code would stay there for a while, forever, I suppose. Yeah, and then come back in when you need to sort of top it up with your $2 a pop. So honestly, I would recommend it, even if somebody's slightly sort of thinking, oh my God, this is beyond what, this is really confusing me. Just it's costing pennies, just get in there, try it. It really does up you're thinking. It really absolutely, it does. So it's definitely worth it. Even if you just want to try it and understand the makeup of a page and what's actually affecting ranking, what Google is looking for, and you can make those changes that Carl just pointed out there, those top 5 or 10 changes, and then you sit back and watch for a couple of weeks and see if the page moves up, which of course it should. But then suddenly it all starts making sense. Instead of just hearing reasons why pages go up or down, you're actually doing it yourself, and you're actually seeing those results yourself. And there's nothing more rewarding than that. So it's to me, it's just, well, I don't want to say common sense again. I'll have to think.
Go and get it.
Yeah, I'll have to think of another word. No, I won't. There we go. But anyway,
something Henry, that if you were to take the top signals in POP, and then when you see core next week, if you were to take the signals that correlate the most regularly, let's say 50 to 100, if you were to learn what those things are and how to apply them and how to look at your competitors with them, so that's, call it all in, no more than 175 things to learn or signals to learn. If you do that, you probably instantly enter the top 100 SEOs in the world. So when people want to like learn how to do SEO, you can learn SEO with Pop and Core. You know, that you can figure out these are the signals that are moving rank. And let me figure out what they actually are, how to adjust them, and then how to look at what the competitors are doing with them. You will instantly be a expert level SEO.
So what you're saying, Kyle, is that the cheapest SEO course is actually subscribing to Page Optimizer Pro.
Yeah, you could do a course for $10. Basically, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And you've got live support, and there are some people that take advantage of live support more so than others. And I'm usually on live support, or you can get me on there. So.
Okay, we have another question. Is there any real SEO value in using H5 over higher titles such as H2/H3?
Well, H2 and H3 are definitely stronger signals, for sure.
Yeah.
And the signal strength goes kind of in order. H5, I can see in a test environment will move the needle. I haven't seen it in an H6, but they do. That's why they're listed in the weaker signal part. Again, it's usually an area where it can help identify if you're dealing with some very optimized pages that have a lot of structure to them. And if you see stuff in there, then there's something that could be going on. The other thing is, as I mentioned, it's an opportunity for an edge, especially on the variations and LSI side. If your competitors don't have it, it's an opportunity to put something in. But keep in mind, they're in the weaker signals section for a reason. They are significantly weaker. They don't move the needle as much. And they're not part of the page score that we put out. So, you know, these are things that I do after I've done those stronger signals. And then when I'm looking like, hey, you know, when people like throw out their hands up and I've done everything, well, you probably haven't. Here are some more things you can look at.
And of course, this is actually forcing you to focus on what's in front of you, the Google page you're trying to rank in. So again, rather than going by supposition and, you know, somebody said you need 3 H2 tags or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's all about what you need to rank on the page that you're trying to rank on and what your competitors are doing. So this is why you get this shift in mindset, because you're really focusing on the target rather than looking around, seeing what else is coming at you from the periphery. So it's very, very focused.
Yeah, why waste time on a guess? You know, Google's showing you what it likes. Go do that first, then start guessing. You know, if you get stuck. But you know, if you follow what Google's showing, you know, this is what I want to see for this particular keyword. Your success rate is going to be very high.
That's great.
Cool. Steve asked, can you also show an example of using POP for a DMB business site? Steve, I think that Kyle already mentioned that you could actually take the text from the 1,500 words that you can put into a business, a Google My Business website, and put it into just between some paragraph tags, and then run it there, and then we'll get a good feeling of what's going on.
Did you show the point where they actually drop that text into on the Page Optimizer tool?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't really advertise that yet because again, it's a feature that we're going to put a text editor in here so you could actually write into it. So, but you can actually, it is there. We just don't talk about it.
It's coming up.
Yeah, we mentioned, so really the goal of Page Optimizer Pro is to make it so you don't have to know SEO. And our end goal would be that just a content writer could use this. We're not there yet, but each time that we do an improvement to how the tool functions or the output that it does, it's actually with the idea of making it easier to write in mind. Now, maybe we're not successful in that yet, but that is our ultimate goal. We want basically to make SEO accessible to everyone, that you don't need to really know it to be effective at it. And so that's our constant kind of striving mission.
Cool.
Yeah. One more, 2 more questions, because we're sort of getting towards the hour. We're at 50 minutes.
There's only one comment left. Where Local Ranking says it's a great tool to use for prospects. It shows them that you are science-based, and it shows them what needs to be done, but they won't want to do them themselves. So that's correct. Whatever you can come up with proof that you have done your homework, the more impressive you will look like when you're approaching your clients. So
the page score skews low. Let's say you have to do 5 things in your H2 and you've only done 4, you don't get partial credit in the score. It's a 0. So the score definitely skews itself downward, and that scares the crap out of clients. And actually, often what it does is it affirms in their mind that they don't know what they're doing, or the person that they paid for to do something didn't know what they were doing, and then you can step in as somebody that knows what they're doing and actually get the work done. I use it in all my proposals.
So
cool.
Any last questions? Is that it?
No, Vincent says thank you, and that was actually in regard to answering his questions. So I think we're good.
Yeah, and people can always drop comments in about the GMB if they want a bit more clarification about that or anything else. Drop the questions in the comments. Even if you're watching the replay, then we'll keep an eye on that and we'll come back with some answers where we can. Kyle, thank you very much. I enjoyed that immensely. It opened, well, yes, it did. It opened my eyes once again. It just, every time I hear it, it just makes everything so much more, just so much more clear why we should be using this tool. It's a really good demonstration, and I really hope that people watching this can see the clear benefit of using Page Optimizer.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate being on.
Yeah, and then on that, so we're going to wrap up now. I think I'm going to pass over to Henrik in a minute just to say the goodbyes. If there's any final notes to say, do like us, do follow us, do subscribe, do go and check out the SEO Fight Club, where you will hear nuggets dropped like just every 30 seconds about it'll really open your eyes about what goes on with science SEO, as they like to call it. Check out the coupon codes if you want to give Page Optimizer Pro a spin, which again I really suggest you do. And don't forget to be here next week, same time, when we've got Ted Kubaitis of Quora fame, who will be walking through Quora itself. So thank you very much. Henrik, last words.
Well, as you said, Tony, click the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to be updated on what we have in for the next coming shows here. So we thank you very much for joining us today, and have a nice day, night, evening, or whatever, wherever you are. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Carl.